Sharada Sharadamboja Vadana Vadanambuje Sarvata Sarvata Asmakam Sannijam Sannijam Kriyade Shankar Rupena Machittam Panki Kadamapudya Kinkari Yasha Shamaya Shankara Charyamashye Bharati Karunapatram Bharati Padabhushanam Bharati Padamarudam Bharati Tirtamashye Om Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vitaraham Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tatvajñam Vidushekara Bharatim Sadguru Charanaravindrabhyam Namaha Harihi Om. Today is also, I think, as you rightly said, Shani Pradosham also. So, a very auspicious day on that. Sadashiva Samarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Padmanam, Vande Guru Padmanam, Vande Guru Padmanam, Vande Guru Padmanam. Thank you. Go ahead, Padmanabhanji. Let's start this lecture. It's a nice day to start off. And
welcome to the welcome to Vande Vidya Shankaram series. We are continuing the Nyaya Shastra and the Dharma Shastra lectures. It will be continued. I think Alvar Mahodaya, maybe we have asked him. He's not available for quite some time, so we took it upon us to continue. So it will be. I'll be covering Nyaya Shastra, and Dr. Jambunathan will be covering the Dharma Shastra part of it. So both of us will be doing part by part. So we will go through the. What I am going to do is going through the Tarka Sangraha as a text. So it's a textual reading of the Tarka Sangraha. On Alvar Mahodaya did it as Upanyasam, but it will be different. I think it's like other classes like Panchadashi and Lalita Sahasranamam, just like how they are done. We'll go through line by line of each shloka, understand this, and then we'll come up with examples and understand. So that is what I'm planning to do for Tarka Sangraha. And Jambunathan ji also is going to take some shloka and he's going to explain with respect to Dharma Shastra. And today he is not available, so I get the full time to talk about the Tarka Sangraha today. So, and next month onwards, Dr. Jambunathan will be joining us. With that being a background, I would like to welcome you all. Somaji started with the prayers. I would like to start with the next set of prayers for myself. So, Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutra Bhashakadau Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punah Nidaya Hrudi Visvesham Vidaya Guruvandanam Vala Nam Sukha Bodhaya Kriyate Tarka Sangraha Kandamandalakaram Yaktam Ena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. With blessings of our Acharya, I'm starting on Tarka Sangraha as a journey. This is the first time I'm taking a serious text and going through this. I have to start with my namaskarams to our Acharya, Sharadamba, and the Guru, Sri Surya Narayana, from Maharashtra Institute of Technology, who was patient enough to teach a person like me to drive this knowledge to me. Whatever I learned from him, whatever I understood from him, I would like to share. Definitely, if there is any shortcomings or anything like that, any feedback, kindly give me, and I would love to improve on this. The other point I wanted to say is I would like to keep this open. So unless you are disturbed with external noises, you can unmute yourself. But if you have kids playing around or something like that, then you can mute yourself. And if you have any questions, please stop me. I would like to have it interactive so that as we go through the Tarka Sangraha text, it is going to be more of technical words, if I want to say. And those words sometimes can be misleading, but we'll go through by reinforcing and reinforcing and reinforcing, we should be able to get to those words. So don't get stuck. Oh wow, it's like too many terminologies are there, because Tarka itself is a bhasha. So there is a text called Tarka Bhasha, like how you have Sanskrita or English or Kannada or Tamil. So Tarka is the bhasha itself by itself. So that's what we are going to see. So the Tarka Bhasha, we will understand with a lot of technical words in it and how they are related to each of these elements that we see. That is the goal of the Tarka Sangraha text reading. So where do we start with Tarka Sangraha? So where are we? Why do we need all these things, right? So in the real world, we see a lot of things. There is a need that we need to understand things around us. So why do we need to understand things around us, right? So there is so we cognize. So the understanding the things is what we call as cognition. So with our we describe the things using our cognition. Without cognition, we don't have a connection to the object. So, and without connection, there is no value in enjoying that object, if I want to say. So we have to understand the true nature of the object, which is, and then most importantly, we need to be able to understand what they are and what they are not, because what they are not is more important. Because what they are is very important. We will know that naturally, we know that process. What they are not is also something we need to identify. What is the limitation and what are the things around it? So with clarity, we need to define the object. So how do we define the object? What are the things that we take its true nature, what it is and what it is not? How is this distinct from other objects? So because if you have same objects, and there must be something which is distinct to understand this. Is there a definition that we can give to the object? What is the knowledge that we need to understand the object? And what are the instruments of knowledge that are needed? And what are the hindrances in understanding? That is also very important. Sometimes you may have a true knowledge there, but something which must be blocking you, like just how you can open the tap, the water can come, or you can close the tap, the water won't come. So there's something that is stuck. That's called pratibandhaka, what in technical terms. So that also we should know. What are the hindrances in gaining that knowledge? So these are the things that are needed, and we need the definition of an object. When I say an object, it can be anything that we see in the world and the world that we are living with it. Now, I also wanted to clarify something here. When I say Nyaya Shastra, in Hindi, I think it is called Nyayavadi, means a lawyer, I think, in Hindi. In other languages also, Nyaya comes morely with the legal terms. Nyayam pesaradu, and Tamil they say Nyaya and those things. So technically, let us not confuse that legal. I mean, I'm not going to talk about Indian Penal Code and all those things, because that's a totally different text. We are not going to even get there. So this is how we live in the world, how we associate with the objects in the world, how our Shastras have given us an approach to take those objects and understand ourselves and enjoy with the true knowledge, we enjoy the objects around the world. And then finally, moksha. Finally, the Sukham. So just like any other darshana, we also have the Sukham as the final objective. So then the Nyaya Shastra by itself, there are two, I think I'm going to, okay. The Nyaya Shastra by itself is to explore and understand various objects. Tarkikas were trained to formulate, debate, and knowledge augmentation. So like ages ago, there were a lot of, the Veda Shastras were there, a lot of books were there, and there were a lot of things that we need to have things explained. So, and then we need to concretely explain them things without any flaw, where there is any other, so for this, and there used to be debates that used to happen. In the debates also, we need to have a structure for the debates. So the whole structure of the debate to establish a philosophy, there should be some guidelines and all those things. So those things were established by Gautama Maharishi for the Nyaya Sutra, based on the Nyaya Sutra. So this is talking about the formulated debate and knowledge augmentation. So it's a metaphysics of understanding, reasoning, inferences, and all those things are given that. So you have to understand something, you can do inferences to get the knowledge. You can use some other means of knowledge to understand them. And then the other thing is, I can easily say there is an in a typical English language, right? For example, I say there is a case, or I'm running a case. But there is a limitation to the linguistic in the linguistic word. So you cannot describe an object by a word. That is very important that we need to understand here, right? So case, for example, I'm running a case means it can be a medical case, or it can be a legal case, or it can be a brief case, or it can be a condition, whatever it is. Now, if you go to the same problem happens in Sanskritam also. So we can say balakaha kridati. Maybe 10 years you write a book, in the book you just say balakaha kridati today, and 10 years from now you take the book and read. Maybe that's you don't know which balakaha was kridati, which balaka was playing that time, or whether it is balaka by name Krishna was playing, or balakaha was some other balaka you don't know was playing, or something else was going on. So that there is no way to understand the true knowledge. So that that's also a difficult way of getting the knowledge directly through pada. The single word understanding of the knowledge is not possible. That way you cannot gain the knowledge. We see some limitations around it. So similarly, we see the words like Satyam, Atma. Somaji, can you take care of admissions? Or I'll take it. Okay. Okay. Satyam, Atma, all these words. they can mean so many things, right? So in the Upanishad Bhashyams, you can see that in the same paragraph in the Mundaka Upanishad, Satyam has the first line, it will have a different meaning, and the second line, it will have different meaning, third line, it's a different meaning. So just by saying Satyam, do we know what it conveys? We have to understand the context. It's a very big explanation that we have to understand. So that that limitation of a natural language is now solved by the Nyaya Bhasha, the Tarka Bhasha. Tarka Bhasha now defines the object with all its property and without any doubts. So that is what the Tarka Shastra, the Nyaya Shastra does. I'll just give you an example. I think we are going to go through this example later, in very detailed way, but I'll just read this example so how do we define earth, right? How do we define earth in the Nyaya Shastra, according to the Nyaya Shastra? So in a Sanskritam language, we just say earth is what is we call Prithvi. Prithvi is earth. Or something Bhutalam or something like that, we call it for the earth. Whereas how in the Nyaya Shastra, we say Samavaya Sambandha Avachinna Gandhanishta Adeyata Nirupita Adhikaranatvam. So that is how Prithvi is, the earth is described. Okay, what is this now? It's just confusing, right? So how do we explain that in English? Distinct from smellness, distinct from the coexistence relationship, the establishment as the support pressed by the supported forms a unique trait of earth. Okay, now let's that because Gandhavati Prithvi is the normal simple definition of it, because Prithvi is one of the 5 elements. Gandha is one of the 5 natural senses, the smell. So the Prithvi is associated with the smell. So earth is associated with the smell. So the earth is associated with the smell with total relationship all the time. That is what this one talks about. So this is how any object is defined according to the Nyaya Shastra. So there is a definition, and the definition has to be clear of any doubts. And then also we use a lot of paribhashika sabdas. Paribhashika means meta words, right? Word meaning about word about another word. So technical terms, a lot of technical terms are used in this explanation, in the Nyaya Bhasha. Okay. So any doubts so far? I know we have. So if not, I can go to the next slide and then.
So Mahodaya, paribhashika as in meta, like they take metaphors as examples to help understand a concept, or not really?
The metaphor is upamana. That's all example to give that. The paribhashika is something like technical words. It's like, so here the sambandha avachinna is there, or a gandha nishtha is there. So let us say the gandha nishtha is the word. That means the nishtha, avachinna, nirupita, all these words are all technical words within the Nyaya Shastra. Nishtha means it is attached to that. Nirupita means it is establishing this. Adhikaranatva means it is on this one, or something like that, right? At the basis of that. So those are the words that are being used. Okay. So don't confirm with them. It's not metaphor. Metaphor is a simile and example. That's all. That's different. Totally different.
So so what's the difference between Tarka and Nyaya? So what is kind of?
It's all the same. At the end of the day, it's all the same. The Tarka by itself has so many meanings. Basically, it's a reason. It's our reasoning. I would say the closest meaning you can say is establishing through reasoning is the Tarka. Okay. Nyaya is also similar to that. Basically, you're establishing through a reasoning scenario here. So that is what both of them are about it. So at a high level, they're both the same. Okay.
I thought Tarka is not a verb. That's not how you would define it. It's not an action.
No, it's not a verb.
Okay. Okay.
So Mahodaya, so this is more like defining things or coming to the correct definitions of anything and everything.
This is the starting point. I'm just saying Nyaya Shastra that's not the only quality that it is doing it, but you understand an object through its definition. That is the goal. Okay. This time, let me just come up with I think there is a little story which I would like to say here, which I heard. This is a hereby story. It's someone that's the story is connected with Ramayana. So you may want to check Valmiki Ramayana. I don't think it is there, but I think it is just told as a story to describe the Nyaya Shastra, the beauty of Nyaya Shastra. Okay, so Sri Ramachandra, after obeying his father's orders, he goes to comes down south. So he comes to Gautama Muni's ashrama. The Gautama Muni is the same Gautama, he's considered as the same Gautama who gave us the Nyaya Sutra. So the Gautama Muni welcomes Rama because he's a prince or future Raja. So he welcomes with all his things. And I said, okay, what's going on? So he said, why are you here? So I said, and then Rama says that, because I have to obey my father's rule. So that is why I am here. He asked me to go to forest for 14 years. So Gautama Muni is also a high scholar in, very, very great scholar in Mimamsa Sastra. So the Mimamsa Sastra, what they do is, they have all the Veda Vakyas, and they talk about the Yajnas, and how the Yajnas has to be done, and how they interpret the Vakyams, and based on the Vakyam, how the procedures of the Yajnas should be done. So there is in the Mimamsa, Gautama quotes a section in the Mimamsa which says, there is a Yajna which you have to do for 320 years. And after the 320 years, you will get the Phalan of the Yajna. So technically, that is not, this is something which is very tricky there. How do we interpret this? So a person normally lives, let us say he lives 100 years. By the time he is ready for Yajna, he'll be 20, right? So he has to study all the Vedas, he has to do marriage, he has to get a male child, and then only he can start the Yajna. This is the Vedic Yajna ritual procedure. So now, and then he can probably do for 80 years. Then after that, his son has to do it. He passes away. Then probably 3-4 generations later, he will get a mukti after that, moksha after that, if everybody does it in the krama. Naturally, there are a lot of hindrances that can happen. Maybe somebody may not have a male child, somebody may not have a child, whatever it is. Or somebody may adopt something, and so many things can happen. Somebody may not, everybody won't live 80 years like this. Somebody may die in 20 years or whatever happens, right? So then the Shastrakaras went and did a serious inquiry and then said, okay, now we should say 320 years nobody can live. But so based on some Vedic injunctions, they say you can do for 320 months. So Samvatsarovai Masaha is a conversion they can do. So they said, okay, let's do 320 months. So that also is a quite a long time. So technically that is it's about 30-40 years or something like that. But that also, you can have a lot of problems in between. You can have, you have to do it every day. It's not technically possible. So, all right, let the Samvatsarovai Pakshaha. So then we can say 15 days. So instead of 15 days is a Paksha. So let's do 320 Paksha. That also is 16 years. That's a long time. So you can, that's also commitment for 16 years doing the same again, then the benefit. It's not possible. So then they say Samvatsaroha Savanaha. So they say take a day. 1 day is 1 year. So then they filtered that rule. You can go to Samvatsaroha Nimishaha also. We can go to 1 minute and say 320 minutes. That's also possible. But just to keep the Yajna standard, as they say, you do the Yajna for 320 days, which is almost a year. And then you get the benefit of that Yajna. So in your life, you can finish the Yajna and you get the benefit, whatever that Swarga Kamo Yajeta or Pashu Kamo Yajeta, whatever benefit that you get out of the Yajna, you will get it if you do this sincerely for 320 days. So Gautama says, okay, Rama, you came here, you were supposed to go to this forest for 14 years. So Samvatsaro by Savanaha. So you can say you already did 14 days so far. So you can use this law and you can go back. Sri Ramachandra says, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to go for 14 years. That's a vakyam I gave it. Then he said, okay, you gave a vakyam. Okay, what was the vakyam? So Gautama says. So Sri Rama says, I'm going to the Vana. I'm going to forest. I'm going to the forest for 14 years. Then Gautama says, did you tell which Vana? So Vanam means, is it one Vanam? Or is it the Vanam that he said? Or is it every forest in the world? If it's every forest in the world, that means there is no point. In 14 years, you're not going to cover that. If it is one Vanam, then he didn't tell you which Vanam. So you don't have to come here. You can go to Ayodhya, find a forest there where there are animals and deer and all those things, and then take some trees and just sit under that. 14 years, sit there and go back to Ayodhya. And Sri Ramachandra got offended and said, no, that is not my mission here. You are arguing too much of this Nyaya Shastra philosophies. So I'm going to give you a curse, saying that anybody who is learning Nyaya Shastra will be born as dogs in the next birth. So that's a warning. So I have to warn you first right now, right? So Gautama got quite offended, he also got offended and said, okay, Rama, you are a Vedanta. You just studied Yoga Vasishtam. So you study the Vedanta. So anybody who studies Vedanta will become donkeys in the next birth. So he also curses him. So what happens? So we are also studying Vedanta, Panchadashi also. So what happens? Then they come to a reconciliation saying that, no, we should not do like these things. Let us, the Shapa cannot be cancelled. The Shapa is effective. Let's do. How do we fix the problem? So whenever you study Vedanta, you study the Nyaya Shastra with it, then you'll be born as a human being. Or the other way. So you have to study Nyaya Shastra with Vedanta or Vedanta with Nyaya Shastra. If you study both of them together, you'll be born as a human being. Otherwise, you'll get to the other problem. So that is how they concluded. Just to set the stage for this talk. So now, I think the key things we have to learn from this story is how the interpretation was done. So the first thing is how Gautama used the interpretation. So he goes to the Vedas and takes the mantras and collects it, interprets it, and comes up with so many cases, and then says Samvatsaroha, Vaivasavakaha, Divaha, and all those things he's saying that. So this is the interpretation. So that Nyaya Shastra is about interpretation. So that is one example. The other interpretation also is reasoning. So you have to be very clear. When you say Vanam, I'm going to the forest, you cannot just say I'm going to this forest, but you say which forest you are going, right? So which you have to say, I have to go to the forest with this tree or this, that thing, that location, blah, blah, everything he has to say. Otherwise, that word doesn't have any meaning. And Nyayika will not accept that as a, I'm going to the forest, yes, Nyayika has no understanding to that, no value to that word. So that being the context. So what we see is you have to have a clear definition. You have to have a very good reasoning. We have to have good interpretation of the whole thing. And that's what the Nyaya Shastra talks about.
Oh, they had a question, and sorry for asking this. But if Rama is going to Gautam Rishi for guidance or his blessings, how can he, question him for asking questions that are reasonable? Because I feel like, Vanam could be your backyard garden also, whatever
right.
that
Take it as a story. I think I think some of them times I use the Drishtantas are just for not a one-on-one explanation. It is just to understand how you interpret. Basically, what is the important point here is the message of the story and not the people in the story. Okay, the people in the story can be anybody. I mean, Rama and Gautama makes more valuable. It can be X and Y. Okay, so it is just to give the background that Nyaya Shastra is all about reasoning, very clear philosophy, and using materials to come up with the solution. That is the goal of the story. Okay.
But yeah, is that also I have learned also that when you are going to learn any Vedanta, this is a very critical tool for you to understand most of those things, right? So it's not just it's not together also. This is almost some philosophies. This is a prerequisite to know a lot of those things also. So I think this is and it's very common to say most of the things you understand, its interpretation is all that matters. And so it's very nice to do that piece. And if there's a language, as you rightly said, if this is a language, it's not uncommon to have the popular modern debates have their own language as well, right? I mean, so there has to the need for a language is it's very clear, and I'm glad. I think that a lot of thought went through that. Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry.
So sure. So I think I think from SVBF North we are also doing Vedanta as well as Nyaya together. So we all will have a very good work next time. So that's assured. So that conclusion. Let's go to the next section. So then the Nyaya Shastra, the Nyaya Shastra and the Vaisheshika Shastra, they're considered as two darshanas, right? So rishis gave it. Darshana means drishta, mantra drishtaraha rishaya. The people who had the vision from the vision through meditation and all the process, they get the Shastras and they absorb it and then they give it to us. So that has a darshanatvam there. And the goal for them is the moksha is the goal for that. So we had the Nyaya Shastra that came from Gautama Muni and the Vaisheshika Shastra that came from Kanada Muni. Both are very similar, but they're a little bit different in how here and there are subtle differences on how the padarthas are defined and so on. So The Gautama Muni's text is more on the Vada Nirupanam also. So they also have debate, how to do debate, and what are the elements that go into a good debate, where is reasoning happening, when is a failure happening in a debate. All those things are being discussed in the Gautama Muni's Nyaya Sutra. And it also has a lot of meta words in it. Paribhashikatvam is also there. So this is the Prachina Nyaya. So this was the original Nyaya Shastra, original Nyaya as interpreted by Gautama Muni, as given by Gautama Muni, and then Vaisheshika also as given by Kanada Muni. They were given for more understanding, technical details, debates, and all those kind of things. Down the line, this happened in the AD time frame, after the death of Christ time frame. In the West Bengal region, there was a Pandita called Gangeshwar Padhyaya. He came up with the Navya Nyaya, which is a later Nyaya, which is now it is being it's used very popular nowadays. That's what is being used. So the Navya Nyaya, he came up with he just made the Padarthas more standard in a different standardized way. And he talked about 4 important things: the Pramana Nirupanam, means making sure the knowledge is established very well, and the Anumana Pradhanim. So the inferential knowledge is discussed in detail on the Navya Nyaya Shastra. The definition, the Lakshana Karanam, is how to define an object. That's also being done. And the Shabda Bodha Prakriya, how the words are used and what is the power of how do you use the words, and all those details are being discussed in these things. This is the Navya Nyaya Swarupam. The other one was the Prachina Nyaya Swarupam, the old Nyaya, and this is the new Nyaya. So the Tarka Sangraha follows the Navya Nyaya Swarupam. It also follows some of the Kanada Muni's Sutram, because Acharya towards the end says, I try to write whatever Kanada Muni said, is what he finishes the sutra with. So the Vaisheshika is more stressed on the Tarka Sangraha from what we can see. So what are the benefit of this Nyaya Shastra? Is both I'm going to the old Nyaya Shastra, Prachina Nyaya. What are the benefits? In the Navya Nyaya, in the Nyaya Shastra by Gautama as well as Vaisheshika by Kanada Muni, both of them talk about the same thing. Nishreyasa Adhigamaha. Nishreyas is the benefit of it. In the first shloka, the second shloka itself, they say that Nishreyas is the benefit of reading this Nyaya Shastra. Nishreyas means the ultimate moksha, whatever it is, the ultimate liberation, all those things. How do you get the Nishreyas? Nyaya Shastra says, with all the, in the Nyaya Shastra by Gautama, he says all the 16 Padarthas, using that Tattva Jnana, Nishreyasa Adhigamaha. So the Nyaya Shastra has 16 Padarthas, and the Vaisheshika has lesser number of Padarthas. I think it's 9. So those are the two, with that knowledge of those Padarthas, you will get the Shreyas, you will get the ultimate bliss. So in the Nyaya it says Pramana Prameya Samshaya Prayodhana Drishtanta Siddhanta Vayava Tarka Nirnaya Vada Jalpa Vitanta Hetva Bhasa Chalajati Nigraha Sthananam Tattva Jnayat Nishreyasadigamah. So here Dharma Vishesha Prastuta Dravya Guna Karma Samanya Vishesha Samavayanam Padatanam Sadharmyam Vaidarmyabhyam Tattva Jnanani Nishreyasam iti. So these are the with the Padartha Nyaya. The Padartha means it is to understand the world, that you classify the world into all the objects with different object names, and they are called as the Padarthas. By the knowledge of the Padarthas, by using the right interpretation, by using the right knowledge of those Padarthas, you finally get the moksha. That is the prayojana for the Nyaya Darshana, both the Nyaya Darshana and the Vaisheshika Darshana. There is one more shloka which is also quoted from the Nyaya Sutra. So how do we get this is the next question. Dukkha Janma Pravritti Dosha Mithya Jnananam Uttarottarapaye Tadantarapayat Apavargaha. Is what is saying. Apavargaha is moksha. So the moksha. So how do we get the moksha? This is a linear path. So what we say is Uttarottarapaya. So basically step by step. So what is happening is dukkha. So what is the cause for what is the basic cause for our sorrows and everything? Dukkham. So how does the dukkham happen, right? So how do you eliminate the dukkha? By avoiding births. Constant birth and rebirth and rebirth and rebirth and rebirth. Dukkham comes, so we avoid the dukkha. So dukkha goes away. You can remove dukkha by avoiding birth. How do we avoid the birth now? to minimize by karmas, right? For the dharma. So by following the right and wrong actions. So then you can avoid the birth and death cycle. How do we avoid the right and wrong actions, karmas? By the awareness of raga dosha vivekaha. So raga dosha moha vivekaha. So by all the likes and dislikes and everything, this is what is causing the karma, and this is what is causing the janma, and this is what is causing the dukkha. If I go reverse, if I go forward, I say dukkha is caused because of janma is caused because of the right and wrong actions, and because of the pravritti, this is of the dosha, because of the pravritti I get the dosha. And what is this causing? Because the mithya jnana. So mithya jnana means it's the false knowledge or the ignorance. Now if you eliminate everything out of it, you get the apavarga. By removal of the false knowledge, you get the moksha. So this is called the Uttarottara Vidhi, and this is basically the this is the goal of the Nyaya Shastra. All right, so we'll introduce you to some terms here before I go to the Tarka Sangraha, because that's some fundamental terms. And then as and when I'll just start introducing new terms whenever applicable. So the first thing we talk about in the relationship is the other important point in the Nyaya Shastra is they talk about a lot of relationship between objects and their properties, and how do you understand that? That's what the Nyaya Shastra talks about a lot. So we have to understand the relationship of the object. So let's say dharma, the first thing we understand is the dharma dharmi bhava. So it's an attribute and the attributed. So for example, we take a rose flower. So in the rose flower is the dharmi. Now the redness in the rose flower is the dharma. The rose flower has scent in it. That is a dharma. The rose flower is blooming. It looks very beautiful. That is a dharma. But the dharmi is the one which is the rose flower by itself, the one which is the root of it. So the dharmi is the one which is attributed, and the attributed has a lot of attributes. Similarly, there's a toy car. So the car is orange. The car is the dharmi. The attribute of the car is it is orange color, or it is a sports car. It has 4 wheels. Whatever, they're all the things that you talk about is they are the attributes of the car. So that's what we call it as the dharma and dharmi. So I think let's see, go to the next one. The other one is the adhara adheya bhava. So that's something we have to understand more clearly, because most of the time we use that. So there is a fruit in the ground. Let us say this is a statement. There is a fruit in the ground. The ground is the one which is the basis of the fruit, right? So we call the ground as the adhikaranam. Adhikaranam is the one where the fruit resides. So it is the one which is holding it. So there's adhikaranam. The fruit is called as the adheya, that which is existing on the adhikaranam. So this is what we call it as this is called a stratum. I think this is called the stratum or the supporter in English, if I want to translate, supporter or stratum. And this one is called, this is the one which is supported. So this is another word that is commonly used, adhara adheya bhava. So that's a relationship. What is the relationship between the ground and the fruit? It is the adhara adheya bhava. Similarly, what is the relationship between this table and the computer? Same thing. The table is the adharam, the computer is the adheya. Similarly, the hand is the adhara, and the deepa is the adheya. The table is the adhara, the chessboard is the adheya. So like that, you have the adhara adheya bhava. So that is something we'll be using that a lot in the world. And the other term we use it here is lakshana and lakshya. So we saw common and exclusive characteristic to identify an object. So the act of enumerating or describing the unique factors of an object is known as a lakshana. For the lakshana, you need something called as an asadharana dharma. So that's that object is to be defined is called as a lakshya, and here as an object is used by using its definition. So for example, gamanam is, sorry, I'll go to the gamanam later, but I think that's the lakshanam and the lakshya. The lakshana is the definition that is given, and lakshya is the object about which the lakshya is used for. So, okay. Then when we define an object, we should have something called as a asadharana dharma, or it's called as its unique characteristic. So let us say we are going to describe an elephant, right? I mean, if I say an elephant is an animal, okay, that is not a unique characteristic. Elephant has two eyes, it has 2 ears, it has one face. Like those, they're all not unique characteristic. They say, yeah, it's available in all the animals as well. They're all sadharana dharma. They're all it's available everywhere. All the animals have it. All the jati of the animals, they all have 2 eyes, they have 2 ears, 4 legs, big stomach. A lot of animals have big stomach, a lot of them have small stomach, but they have something. But also what is making an elephant distinct? Then we say the elephant has a trunk. So the trunk for an elephant is called as an asadharana dharma. So that is something that makes it very distinct. So when you describe an elephant, you can say like this. You can say, I mean, if you want to make it unique and you want to make it nice, like how we did the Prithvi last time. So we can say, elephant is an animal which has 4 legs, it has 1 face, 2 eyes, and it has a trunk. When you do this way, you won't get if your elephant won't be confused with a tiger or a cat when you try to describe it. Am I making it clear?
So there may be another animal with a trunk.
Yeah, then you have to find another condition.
So we have to go with another.
Something you have to come up with, right? So let us say, if that animal is white in color, then you can say this is black, right? So you should see the asadharana dharma. The goal is to get an asadharana dharma. I mean, the goal is to make sure that it has a unique characteristic and describe it through the unique characteristic without doubt.
So it assumes that every object has an asadharana dharma. Otherwise, it's not a unique object.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we have to make it unique if it is not unique. We have to break it and make it unique somehow, right? So yeah, we'll go through that. It's going to be interesting when you ask this. A good question you asked. I think when you go to why we are making it unique, and it's all goes to a different. There's a lot of discussions about that. But I'm just giving you a superficial example here. So just take it as an example there. Now, when you are trying to define an object, right? So when you're trying to define an elephant, like what you said, so there may be there are some when you define something, there are 3 violations that can happen. There are 3 possibilities of violation that is happening. So that the definition fails. Okay, so that's what we call it as ativyapti, avyapti, and asambhava. So when you are defining that, you should define an object without any errors. Okay, let's go back to the same elephant example. I think we talked about it earlier. So if you say elephant is an animal, it has 2 eyes and 2 legs and 4 legs and a tail. Done. That's my elephant, right? Now that's a problem because you have a horse, you have a cow, you have any other animal, sheep or whatever it is. All of them have the same things. So your definition lacks clarity, correct? So you should not have this kind of a vague definition. There is no asadharana dharma that is being displayed here. So this fails. This is a failure. So this lakshana is a failure. So we should not have a failure in the lakshana when you define a lakshana. Similarly, when you say, oh, elephant has this ivory thing, what is it? Tusks, right? Elephant has tusks. The elephant is an animal which has tusks in it. If you come up with a general statement like that, that also is a problem. The female elephants don't have tusks. The only male elephants have tusks in them. So that also is a problem because that is a avyapti. So the difference between ativyapti and avyapti is, in the ativyapti area, what happens is you compare with the different genres of animals, sajatiya and vijatiya. So the vijatiya means different genres of animals. Then it fails. In this one, it's a sajatiya difference. It's the same animal itself, it fails. So that becomes an avyapti. That's an avyapti dosha. The other one was ativyapti dosha, and this one is an avyapti dosha. The third one is asambhavaha. In the asambhavaha, you just tell it's asambhavaha. It's very simple, right? Asambhavaha, it is not happening. That is what is asambhavaha means. Let's say you say an elephant has manes. Manes is like this part, this hairs. Oh, elephant is an animal which has manes. Well, that is wrong, totally wrong, right? So we don't have. I mean, elephant. I mean, it is not. It is never happened. It never happens here. Means so it is a wrong interpretation, wrong explanation. So it's invalid knowledge. So that is a dosha. So when you define a dosha, when you define an object, when you give a lakshana, when you give the asadharana dharma, you have to make sure that it is devoid of all these three doshas: the ativyapti, avyapti, and asambhavaha. We'll go through this more examples later, but I think this is a simpler example to explain the ativyapti, avyapti, and asambhava dosha. Any questions so far?
Mohdaya, the Lakshana and Lakshya, I was not super clear on that, if you don't mind.
So one is Lakshana means it's a definition. The Lakshya means what you are defining.
Okay.
The one which is getting defined is a Lakshya.
Can you give an example of that?
Okay, define. Now let's say elephant. Elephant is a Lakshya. Now you have to give a definition of an elephant. That is a Lakshana. The Lakshana should be a Asadharana Dharma. Asadharana Dharma means it has to be a unique Lakshana. And it should not, when you define a Lakshana, you should not have the three failures, which are ativyapti, avyapti, and asambhava. Okay, did I summarize it correctly?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So with these words,
one more thing. So we talked about dharmi and the dharma, and we talked about lakshana and lakshya. So is it like these are attributes and those are behaviors?
So the dharma and dharmi is not defining you a unique attribute, uniqueness, right? In the lakshana, we see the asadharana dharma being defined, right? In the dharma and dharmi, we just say redness of the flower. So redness is everywhere. It can be in hibiscus, it can be in rose, it can be anything else, right? So that doesn't make a flower unique. Dharma and dharmi is just a relationship at the superficial. I mean, just a relationship definition. This is the flower. The flower. This is my hand. My hand has 5 fingers in it, right? That's the dharma and dharmi. So that's all. That dharma. The hand is the basis, and the fingers are dharmi. It's the attributes of the hand. That kind of a thing. It's a dharma and dharmi. That doesn't talk about any uniqueness in it. Whereas in the lakshana and lakshya, we define it with clarity. Okay. All right. So let's go and with basic. These words are there across all the shastras, across Nyaya Shastra, Vaisheshika Shastra, and also in the Navya Nyaya Parampara also they use it. And with that we get into the text of Tarka Sangraha. So I'll cover at least a few shlokas as we started today. So so that way at least we get introduced to Tarka Sangraha. We leave with starting a shloka at least. So this is a grantha. It is written probably very recently. Very recently, I would say maybe 500, 600 years back. Maybe a little bit more than that or less than that. By Sri Annam Bhattacharya. Annam Bhatta was from Andhra Pradesh. He's from Andhra Pradesh area, and he wrote it as a Navya Nyaya Shastra only. He's noted as a Navya Nyaya Shastra grantha only, and this basically it's used as a basic treaty, like Soma said earlier. This reading Tarka Sangraha is actually a first step to learn any Shastra, is what several authors have mentioned in several books have been quoted about. That is a treatise to introduce the world view of the Nyaya Vaisheshika system. So it's basic introduction to the Nyaya Vaisheshika system, and it is basically called as a Balapata of the Nyaya Vaisheshika system. And it is used as methods to analyze the entire universe through natural language. So basically through Sanskritam, and it just tries to define all the existence through the natural language. That is the in summary of the Tarka Sangraha text. Now, traditionally in a Shastra, we have 3 items. Any Shastra which explains some concepts or technical concepts, either it's Advaita Shastra or, or it's astronomy or anything like that. There are 3 things that we expect in a Shastra. So Uddesha, Lakshana and Pariksha. So what are the 3 things? This is a common technical terms used in across all the Shastra studies. So Uddesha means you basically state what is going to happen. So if you run away by saying what is going to happen, then your Uddesha is useless, right? Then you have to give a Lakshana to the Uddesha. Then you say, okay, this Lakshana is slightly different from the previous Lakshana we talked about, because the Uddesha is just to, what is my intent? The Lakshana is what I did, what is the, what other work I have to do. And after you do the work, then it goes to the exam, Pariksha. Then you go to the Panditas and argue with them or debate with them and say, this is why my Shastra is, I'm saying this is the reason, and this is why I'm establishing my Shastra. Based on these conditions, I say that's, and then after it wins over the Pariksha, then the Shastra gets established. Normally, this is a cycle that is followed. If you are a computer programmer, I think if I am one of them, but they're not, I don't think many of you are, but we do, like, we get a business requirement, then we have our developers write the code, and the testers test it, and then we put it into production. Same concept. I mean, it is a worldwide phenomenon. It is nothing new. But we also had it in our Shastra. We called it in terms of Uddesha, Lakshana, and Pariksha. But it is even followed in everything. Even if if they want to find a vaccine for COVID, they do the same thing. So all these things follow the same process. So all the Shastra Granthas follow the same structure as well. They establish what is the Uddesha, Lakshana, define the Lakshana, and then the Pariksha, whatever they will do. And Gautama Muni has done that in the Nyaya Sutram very clearly. All the 3 things have been done. This is like way ages ago before Christ. So Gautama Muni's time is so long ago, probably Sri Ramachandra's time. So these knowledge systems were so refined in those days. Imagine like how much our people have done on these works. Which even we can relate it to today, and that these things never changed. And the one thing about Tarka Sangraha is it covers the Uddesha and Lakshana. As per many acharyas who have given the commentaries, they are not doing the Tarka Sangraha, does not do Pariksha. Some acharyas say that they do the Pariksha, it does the Pariksha, but I go with the major acharyas where I refer the textbooks. So I use their quote saying that the Uddesha and Lakshana are given in the Tarka Sangraha. The Pariksha is not is for us to figure it out. So this is just introduction to the Nyaya Shastra. That's why we are doing that way. So for Tarka Sangraha materials, I used whatever our Professor Surya Narayana from MIT taught us. And besides that, I used the book called Vidyadhari. This was written by Pandit Devendra Patil Sharma, one of the highest well-known scholars, the best scholar for the Tarka Shastra who is living with us right now. And his book is very good with all the basic examples. So I try to go with those examples because sometimes some of those examples are so uniquely presented and very well done. The other book I used is from, I got this from Sringeri. This is the Tarka Prakasha. This is the Kanada Sarani. So basically this is written by Dr. Naveen Holle. And he's also I heard that he's a very high scholar in the Nyaya Shastra at the Sringeri Peetham. So his book is also very nice on the Kannada Sutra. It explains all the texts and all the words to it. I have used some of his examples as well. And then there is another book by Dr. V.N. Jha that is in English. I use that book only for translation purposes because these 2 books are in Sanskritam. Sometimes it's easy for me to, sometimes I find it easy for me to go in Sanskritam than explaining in English. So sometimes I struggle with the substratum and substrate and all those things. But I think just to make sure that those words are correlated, I try to refer to that book, Dr. V.N. Jha's book on Tarka Sangraha. That is available, I think, in archive.org or whatever it is. You can download those books and get that. It's very, very detailed, written in detail in English for the Tarka Sangraha book. So these are the books that I use. And the slides that I'm using, or some of them are from our MIT class, and I think Chandramouli ji did the slides for that. I owe him for a lot. And then rest of them we just grabbed whatever I typed it in, we just put it in there. So what is in the Tarka Sangraha? The topics are Padartha Nirupanam. So Padartha, we are going to learn about what Padartha is. The Padartha Nirupanam is the first chapter. And this is very high level. It doesn't say that second chapter is Buddhi Lakshanam or third chapter is Anumana Nirupanam. I'm just giving you on a very high level. What are they? There are about 78 shlokas in the Tarka Sangraha. So we'll go through the 78 shlokas. That's the goal of this program. And we'll do the Padartha Nirupanam, Buddhi Lakshanam, Anumana Nirupanam, Hetva Bhasa, Upamana, and Shabda. So we'll go to Padartha Nirupanam is the worldly of the description of the worldly objects. Buddhi Lakshanam is the using of knowledge and how to use a knowledge and how do we get the right knowledge, those kind of things. The Anumana Nirupanam is the inference, especially in the Tarka Sangraha, even in the other Nyaya Shastras, I'm thinking there should be the Anumana is out of all the 4 pramanas that we use for Nyaya Shastra, which is the Pratyaksha, Upamana, Anumana, and Shabda, right? The Pratyaksha is the one which we sense through the eyes, we use the sense organs to understand. The Upamana is going through the examples, similes and all those things. The Shabda is the Aptavakyam, which is the Vedas and all those things. The Anumana is interpretation. That is where we have to use a lot of skills to get to that. So the Anumana Pramanam itself, the Anumana Nirupanam by itself is a very large section. During this Anumana Nirupanam, we will go through so many examples and so many conditions. And this is where we get into, other 3 we rarely get into failures because Pratyaksham is Pratyaksham. So if somebody is sitting next to me, I know this person is sitting next to me, I don't have any extra knowledge to prove that. But when you come to Anumanam, you need some extra knowledge. You need to have samskara. You have to have the previous, something that happened. Based on that, you should relate to it and come up with this guesswork. So that is a very tricky knowledge to come up with. So inference is it's a very, very, very detailed discussions on the Anumana. And the Hetva Bhasa, there is a cause for everything, right? So Hetu means it's a cause. So the cause so we go to the root cause and try to understand and explain this. So the Hetva Bhasa is, what are the faults that can happen in the identifying the causes, the faults and the errors that can happen. So finding the errors. So to prevent the errors. So this is our goal, is to have a clear knowledge, right? So when we have a clear knowledge, we should not have these errors. So all the samshayas, the doubts that you have, that is also a very tricky chapter. So what are the types of doubts and how do we clarify those doubts? Those kind of things. How do you, that is being discussed in that section as well. And then Upamana Pramana, that's a very small chapter. I think it is 1 or 2 shlokas only. Basically, that's nothing to say. It's example is an example. So right, so that's all we have to say. And Shabda is also, the Shabda, it is a little bit more detailed because it says how the words are to be used and what are the conditions were used. Akanksha, Yogyata, Sanidhi, and all those terminologies are used. Where the word is applied, how the context is applied, and how what time you have to say what word and how is it related with all those times and all those things. That's a Shabda Pra. These are the broad categories of the topics that are in the Tarka Sangraha. I think we are at 9:30 right now. Just let me see if I can finish at least 1 shloka. So we do the Mangala shloka at least. The Mangala shloka is Nidhaya Guru Hridi Vishvesham Vidhaya Guru Vandana Balanam Sukha Bodhaya Kriyate Tarka Sangraha. So this is the first shloka of the Tarka Sangraha text. So, and this any shloka, which is the first shloka, mostly, I'm saying mostly, I would say 90% if I want to say something like 90 to 95% of any text that you take in Sanskritam, Vangmaya, or even in your regional languages also to most extent, they will have the first as the Mangala shloka. You always call Ganesha or Shiva or Vishnu or Guru or somebody like that, and you do a namaskaram and you start the shloka. So the first shloka is called as a Mangala shloka. So the Mangala shlokam in Sanskritam, in the Sanskritam text, it has been classified as 3 different types. One is called as the Namaskaratmakam. So you basically take a Guru or Shiva or Ganesha or Krishna and do a namaskaram to him. The other one is Ashirvacham. So sometimes you can say, let him be blessed, is what some shlokas will say that. And sometimes they say Vastu Nirdeshakam. So in the Kumara Sambhavam, the first shloka will talk about Asetu Himalaya. So basically, I'm going to talk about the whole land of Himalaya and the Himalayas, the queen, so the daughter of the Himalayan king. I'm going to talk about her story. And the Himalaya itself is like a manadanda for the world. It's like a measurement of the world's beauty and all those things. It establishes through the He only establishes the what he's going to talk about. Kalidasa establishes what he's going to talk about. So that's called a Vastu Nirdeshaka. So these are the 3 types of Mangala Shloka you will see. And sometimes you will see combination of 2. So sometimes you will see Mangala Shloka which has a Namaskaratmakam plus Vastu Nirdeshaka. So in this case, we see that one. So it's a combination of Mangala Shloka and Vastu Nirdeshaka. Okay, so what is this? What does it mean? Sorry, Namaskaratmakam plus Vastu Nirdeshaka. So what does it mean? So you look at the first line, right? Vandanam. When you have a word like Vandanam, Namaskaram, Namaha, Vagartha, Iva Pratibhakta, Vagartha Pratipadaye, Jagatah Pitaro, Vande, this is it. So Vande, all these things are there. When you say the prayer that is there, then it is a Namaskara. You do a Namaskara to the Vishvesha. Vishvesha is basically the Lord of the universe. Okay. Then Vidaya Guru Vandanam. So in all the respect of the Gurus, they are there. With the Viditvam, I do the Guru Vandanam. So I do the Namaskara to the Vishvesha, the Lord of the universe, as well as the Guru. Then Balanam Sukha Bodhaya Kriyate Tarka Sangraha. So this is now the second is a Vastu Nirdeshaka there, because he's saying I am setting this Tarka Sangraha book for the benefit of the people who want to learn. So he is saying, and this is the Vishaya is the Tarka Sangraha. So he's saying Vastu, he's saying what is a Vastu there? Tarka Sangraha. So that is also he's saying in the same shloka. So these 2 lines are very, these 2 lines make it, this shloka has to have Namaskaratmaka plus Vastu Nirdeshaka in the same shloka. Now, this Acharya has done one more challenge to us, because typically you take a shloka in any other grantha, Vedanta Sara or any other text you take. The first shloka will be the Namaskara Mangala. So in the Brihat Samhita, the first shloka will be the Surya Namaskar. Surya, Jagata, what is saying? All the world is like an apple, or the gold shining world, Surya, and he's coming in a white Ratha, and I'm going to Namaskaram to him. That's the first shloka. That's all he talks only about the Namaskaram only. After that comes to the second chapter, he talks about the matter, what is he talking about. So that's how that book is there. Any other book you take, Vedanta Sara also, something like that. First shaka is the Mangalam Guru Vandanam or something like that. Guru Krishnam Vasudevam something. Vasudevam Krishnam, some words are there. And then the third or fourth shloka is the this particular concept called as the Anubandha Chatushtayam. So this is also this is how normally all the texts in Sanskrit Vangmayam have been written. So you have the Mangala Charanam and then the Anubandha Chatushtaya. The writer himself tells there are 4 things that are needed to have in this book. So what are the 4 things that are needed? Vishayascha Adhikaricha, Sambandhascha Prayojanam, Grantadaucha Pradhatavyam, Anubandha Chatushtayam. So this is what he's saying. Vishayaha, Adhikari, Sambandha, Prayojanam. So these are the 4 things that you should know before you start reading this book. So first let's start with Adhikari. So Adhikari means, who is the Adhikari? The person who is reading this book. So what is his qualification? So if you want this person is going to read the book, what he should be. Okay. So in this book, he says, Balanam Sukha Bodhaya. So Balanam. So Balaha is the Adhikari. Now, very clearly that has been translated as a person who is adept at grasping and retaining is called as a Bala, not the Balakaha. So we have to take it as, I mean, a child is also very grasps easily, but the root, if you go to the root of that word, it probably means this way. So that is why the Bala word is used as a person who is adept at grasping and retaining, which all of us are. Okay. So in the Vedanta Sara, just to give a comparison, the Adhikari, he talks about like 2 paragraphs or something like that. So he says Vidhivad, Adita, Veda, Vedanta, then Shadanga. You have to go learn meticulously all the Veda, Shadanga, then they do all the karmas according to the Mimamsa Shastra, according to Purva Mimamsa, and then if do the Ishta Karma, Kamya Karma, and extras all the karmas, and then do all the Sandhya Vandanadi, all these things, blah, blah, whatever it is, you do all these things and then come and read this book, is what he's saying. But anyway, that's others' expectation. I mean, that's how the Adhikari should be. Here the Adhikari is very simple, Balana. So we are all the people who are adept at grasping and retaining. What is a Vishaya? Sapta Padarthaha, So the padartha, tarka sangraha is the vishaya. The tarka sangraha is based on the sapta padartha. The seven identified objects that needs to be known so that we can get a clear understanding of the whole existence. So they are the sapta padarthas, the 7 products are there. Prayojanam. Prayojanam is sukha bodhaya. So sukham, the pleasure is the prayojanam. And the sambandha. Sambandha means what is a relationship between the explained and the explanation. So it is a pratipadya pratipadaka sambandha. That is what the technical term that is used. We'll go through sambandha in a different section, but basically we must understand that it's what is being established and what is being told is the relationship between those things. So these are the 4 elements that we need to know, understand according to for any shastra. There's a chat here, so I don't know if I need to answer that. Oh, tasks. Okay. All right. So that's so this one sloka, the Acharya has done the Mangala sloka, as well as he has also done the Anubandha Chatushtaya. In other texts, it is not normally, you don't see that anywhere. So this is just a loaded sloka here. So we have to explain that in that angle, that way that we understand what it is there. So in the second sloka, he directly jumps into the into the text. So let me introduce the Sapta Padarthas today before we conclude the session. So that way, at least I have a satisfaction of covering one sloka, one of the Nyaya Sutras before we complete it. I hope you have some time. I don't try to go too much deep into it, but at least a little bit. Yes. So we say the Sapta Padarthas. So what are they? Basically, to understand the world, whole world, the Nyaya Shastra, Nyayikas have divided into 7 Padarthas only. Whatever is existing in the world that you see, whatever that you experience, whatever that you enjoy, whatever it is all condensed into 7 padarthas, 7 words. Padasyartha, 7 words, 7 padarthas only. Sapta padarthaha jagat. So basically, what are the Sapta padarthaha? Dravya guna karma samanya vishesha samavayas abhavaha Sapta padarthaha. So let's explain this. Now let us take a flower. So this is a hibiscus flower, okay, that you see here. So the flower by itself is an object, right? So substance, we call it as a substance. According to Professor Jai, it is substance. I mean, I call it as an object, but that subject, the object is called as a dravya. So that's a dravya. Now the flower is red in color, okay? So that is the guna, that is the quality of the flower. And now we also see the flower blooms one day. So it is a bud one day and it blooms. So some action is happening, right? So that is a karma. So the karma, that is an action that is happening. And then the flowerness is as a class. So we can classify these flowers into, we can say flower, or it can be a part of the tree, or it can be a part of something which you put into the puja, whatever it is. There are a lot of classes that you can have. In that, you can classify something as a flowerness as a class. So that is called a samanyam. So we'll go through the samanya definition later, but that's just to understand that. And vishesha. So this is a question that Kumaraswamy Mahodaya raised. I mean, it is distinct from another flower. So that is its vishesha. Vishesha also has a lot of meanings. Anantaha vishesha. So it is even different from another hibiscus. So it is different from jasmine, it is different from anything else, and it is also different from another hibiscus. So that is its uniqueness that is there. That is the vishesha. Then there's a samavaya. The samavaya is the inherence. That is the natural inherence that is happening in the flower. So one example is that the flower has a red color, redness in it. So that is a sambandha, that is an inherence that is there. That is a relationship that you can explain. That's a relationship that we explain through the samavaya. So the samavaya is a relationship. Actually, samavaya is an always existing relationship. That is called as a samavaya. And the most important thing of all those things is the abhava. Because according to the Nyaya Shastra, abhava is also a quality, a padartha. It's a very important padartha because you should know this is a hibiscus, but you should also know that it is not a lotus, because that is very important. Because there is, when you define this and you come up with a condition and say, okay, this is, you have to make sure that if lotus and hibiscus end of the day comes to the same formula, then you should say it is not hibiscus, it is not lotus, it is hibiscus. So that abhava also should be used. So that's something very important. So if I go to the next slide, it's a different classification. All I'm saying is the sapta padarthas are there, after which the 6 padarthas that we talk about here are having something called based on the existence. The first 6 padarthas are based on the existence. The last padartha is the non-existent. Because the non-existence is a very, very, very deep, that basically runs the whole Nyaya Shastra in a lot of ways. So that's very important to understand. So in the bhava padarthas are what? Dravya guna karma samanya vishesha samavaya. They are the bhava padarthas. And the abhava padartha is a separate abhava padartha. And then there are classifications under the abhava padartha, which we can cover in the next class. I think I will conclude at this point. So unless you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I will try to answer at my whatever I know.
Mahoday, the recording would be available somewhere?
Yeah. So much I can download it, right? I mean,
Yes, we can download it for sure.
yeah, so we can
download
upload and
we will be happy to actually put it inside that YouTube as needed, right?
okay.
No issues. If we need to add it to our Vande Vidya Shankaram, we can. Maybe
Yeah.
going forward as we go further, we can directly go live. We can directly go live, and that's an option to look through, right? Today we were just starting, so we did not do that. But right now it's available. We can even put it in some common place for you to download. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Darshanji.
Yeah, dhanyawad.
So the other question for me, Mahodaya, is very good slides, very good details. Together with this, can you also add a slide about those 3 textbooks you said?
Oh, sure.
It may be useful to put that out there as well, right? If you can put that out there. Yeah. That will help also on that. But this is very good. I think that structure I like very well, because it's at least for initial learner like me, it may be very useful to understand this. Right? Thank you.
Yeah. Can you see my screen? I'm showing you this book I was telling you about this, the Tarka Sangraha Pannambata.
No, we are only seeing the slide.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I should share screen. Oh, I see Shekhar, 2 Shekhars here. So Shekhar, can you have if you have any doubts, please speak up. Thanks for coming. So this is the book I was talking to you about. This is a very good explanation. I think so much you may know about this one, but
yes.
So this is definitely, if you can get hold of this book, I mean, I can try to, I don't know about the copyright issue on that, so try to stay away from that. But if you want, absolutely, then call me. I will send it to you. So
I'll check with the Chinmaya mission here. Tomorrow I'm going in the morning. I will check there to see if they have a copy. I'll get it. If anybody else needs, let me know. I can get a few extra.
Yeah, I need one. Can you please?
Okay, if I find it, I will get it, and then we will worry about mailing it to you. No problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Wherever Shekhar is Houston Shekhar. So okay.
Houston Shekhar. Okay.
So yeah.
SVBF South.
Yes, that's good. Very good. Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
They have stopped printing these books nowadays, I feel. So even if you go to India, you don't get those.
Okay, I think if it is, it must be in the archive.org. I don't know who gave it to me. It is there in my collection. So yeah, so that's those 3 books. I will write it down. I will send you those 3 books, definitely.
Padmanabhan, thank you. I will log out this. Very
oh, okay. Okay. Dhanyawad, Mahodaya.
Okay.
So all right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevashishyate Om Shanti 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 Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Thank you so much. Very good start. Happy Deepavali, all of you.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali.